If you're looking for a recipe that will transport you to a Japanese festival, then this modern street food style yakisoba is for you. You can also find this recipe on my website along with over 400 Japanese recipes. Just Google yakisoba / to find me. I'll start by heating a large non-stick pan on medium and adding a drizzle of oil. Once it's nice and hot, add 140 grams of thinly sliced pork belly and 1/4 of a thinly sliced onion. Season with a pinch of salt and pepper, then fry until the onion is soft and dark and the pork is slightly crispy. The onion in this recipe plays a subtle but crucial role. It's meant to add depth in the background rather than steal the show. To achieve this, slice it very thin so it almost melts into the dish. Think of it as a supporting actor that enhances the overall flavour without being noticeable. If you don't eat pork, feel free to substitute your favourite protein, and if you want to add more vegetables, you can do so here. Things like carrots, bean sprouts, bell peppers or mushrooms work well, but here's a crucial tip. Don't go overboard with vegetables, especially ones with a lot of water. Other than the onions, most vegetables in yakisoba should still have a bit of bite, so be careful not to overcook them. You might need to add some a bit later to avoid this. Make sure to use a high heat to cook them quickly. Low heat and cooking them slowly will create steam and make the vegetables limp and soggy. While this cooks, boil a separate pot of water for your noodles. This recipe serves 2, so I'm adding 2 portions of noodles. One great thing about using fresh noodles is you get to choose the thickness. I personally loved my yakisoba with thicker noodles, which is why I went with ramen style noodles this time. Cook ramen noodles a little bit less than what it says on the package. A good rule of thumb is to subtract 10 seconds from every minute of the recommended cooking time. So if it says 1 minute, cook them for 50 seconds. If it says 5 minutes, aim for 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Once they're cooked, drain them and immediately rinse under cold water to get rid of excess starch and stop them from cooking further. This will prevent clumping during stir frying. Then after you drain them, put them in a bowl and toss them with a bit of cooking oil. This coating keeps the noodles from getting soggy and clumping together. Okay, our pork and onions are looking good, so I'm going to transfer them to a plate. You might think it's overcooked, but I recommend cooking the pork belly thoroughly for 2 reasons. It allows the fat to render properly and creates deliciously crispy pieces that improve the yakisoba's overall texture. I think the best yakisoba has that beautifully greasy finish, but you can always dab away the excess oil with a paper towel if you prefer a lighter, less oily version. By the way, if you're using a protein other than pork belly, keep in mind that they won't render as much fat during cooking. In that case, you'll need to add some cooking oil at this stage to compensate for the missing rendered fat. So now we're going to reuse the pan and add the noodles. The reason I chose a non-stick pan is because these noodles can easily be stuck to the bottom when you cook them. Frying the boiled noodles is so important that it's not just a tip, but one of the steps in my recipe. When you fry them, you get rid of some of the moisture. The oil makes the noodles a bit crispy, and that helps the sauce stick better. You end up with better flavor and texture and overall a better yakisoba. In Japan, you can find special yakisoba noodles like this that you can use right out of the package. These noodles come pre-steamed and coated in oil. This means if you use these special noodles, there's no need to boil them. The noodles take a little while to crisp up, so in the meantime, let's make the sauce. Grab a small bowl and add 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, half tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce, half tablespoon of sake, 1 teaspoon of ketchup, half teaspoon of sugar, 1 teaspoon of toasted sesame oil, and 1/4 teaspoon of curry powder. Mix it well and that's done. As always, all ingredients and exact measurements for this recipe can be found in the description box below. Once your noodles are nicely crispy, pour the sauce over them and mix until they're all coated. When I shared my first yakisoba recipe back in December 2020, I thought it was perfect. It was easy, accessible, and authentic, but adding a bit of curry powder was a true eye-opener. Truth is, I didn't discover this curry powder trick. It's a trend that's been taken off among Japanese recipe developers recently. I saw my role as bringing these real-time Japanese cooking trends to you all. I was skeptical at first, but wow, it really does add an incredible depth of flavor. That's why I went back and added just a touch of curry powder to my original recipe. But remember, we're not trying to make curry flavored noodles here. Just a tiny bit is all you need. Any more and you end up with a complete different dish. This is only to add hidden spiciness, and any of your usual curry powder works. Once all the noodles are covered, push them to one side and add the reserved pork and onions, along with 50 grams of cabbage. If you like your cabbage crunchy, tear it into rough pieces by hand and add it directly to the dish. If you prefer tender cabbage, just steam it in the microwave beforehand. This way you can customize the texture to your liking. As you might be able to tell from its appearance, yakisoba is Japan's take on Chinese chow mein. Since its creation in the 1930s, it's become deeply woven into Japanese life. You find it everywhere from family lunches to festival stalls, school sports days, and cherry blossom viewing parties. Japan has countless styles of yakisoba with different regions putting their own spin on sauces and ingredients. There are actually over 50 regional variations. My sauce recipe here is optimized to my liking with a bit of modern take, using less Worcestershire sauce than nostalgic versions. Once you've tried this base, feel free to adjust the flavors and ingredients to make it your own. Once everything is evenly mixed and cooked, take the pan off the heat and serve up. Next, we'll add some garnishes. I'm using katsuobushi, aonori powder, and some red pickled ginger called benishoga. Each element adds to that authentic Japanese flavor. I always thought sprinkling bonito flakes was standard practice since that's how I grew up in my area. Turns out lots of people don't do this at all, but honestly I still think bonito flakes make yakisoba taste so much better. So give it a shot and see for yourself. Anyway, that's it. Japanese yakisoba, one of my all-time favorite street food dishes. Want even more delicious recipes? Grab my free cookbook from the link in the description. Okay, let's go over the ingredients one more time. And if you're ready to cook, grab the written instructions by clicking the full recipe box with a picture that's about to pop up on your screen. Here we go, the link to the full recipe is on the screen now. And if you want to watch more similar videos, don't miss my street food playlist pop up on your screen as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.